Welcome back. If you've just joined us, we'll be looking at the Delta State's government intervention in the challenges confronting the states, namely attack on oil installations, communal clashes, militancy, and a host of others. And our guest on this episode of Question Time is the governor of the state, Senator Okowa. Don't go away. Since we've mentioned revenue now, let's dig deeper into revenue issues.
Yes.
People have complained that even though the states collect 13% derivation, but over the years, even up till now, people still believe that it's not been well managed.
Ours is well managed, and our management, the thing that we do through with our revenues, we usually post it on our website. There's nothing hidden in this government. At the end of the first year, we published all that we did, and we definitely are going to publish what we're doing at the end of the second year. A lot is going on, even when we know that we are in very challenging times. For the very first time, we begin to build roads even within the creeks in various places. I can count the 18-kilometer roads in the Okowa communities from Botubo 1 to 2 to Yokri, to Sekobelo and Yokri.
Your critics say you've not constructed more than 3 kilometers of road. How true is that?
These things are sounding very strange to me. Very strange.
You've come across that allegation?
No, I've not come across that. I think if you go out there to ask Deltans, they'll let you know that in our first year in office, we commissioned a lot of roads. There are several kilometers of roads going on.
Well, with the huge natural endowments in Delta State, the people of Delta should be entitled to a better standard of living than what obtains presently.
You just talked about huge endowment. We're endowed with oil. The oil prices have gone down. The volumes have gone down. I'm sure you're aware that the Focados export line has been down for 15 months. Until today, as I speak with you, we are not exporting oil. So more than 50% of the oil that we produce is not being exported.
So are you saying without oil there will be no Delta?
Yes.
So what happens to the beyond oil projects?
Yes, you don't create a new Delta within 1 year. Otherwise, if it were that possible, Nigeria would have been able to recreate itself in just these 2 years. It's impossible.
Okay, let's quickly look at what you're doing in terms of educational development. We have a very scary report that captures the state of a primary school in Warri. That's Jelu Primary School in Omadino in Warri, where people still sit on the bare floor.
Okay, I'll tell you one thing. Delta State has about 1,045 primary schools. You are not likely going to have that in any state. And we have 475 secondary schools. You are not likely going to have that number. In these same states, diving into health, we have 64 hospitals. I'm not talking of health centers now. We have close to 500 health centers.
So where do you draw the line between quantity and quality?
No, these are things that are on ground because Deltans love to go to school. And every community wants to have its own infrastructure because they don't need to trek long distances to go to school.
So are you supporting access to education or access to quality and sound education?
So there has to be access, there has to be quality. But we have met a situation where you have reasonable access because of the numbers that are on ground. So ours is to begin to improve on the situation. And it is not possible to achieve that in 2 years, to be able to get all the schools rehabilitated and all the schools functioning with infrastructure all in 2 years, under a period of recession. Even under a period of boom, it's practically impossible to do so. But a lot of the schools have also received benches, that's furniture for both teachers and students. A lot of the schools are being rehabilitated, but it's going to take a lot of time.
Delta State is still regarded as an oil-rich state. And yes. Do you have any business with a 150 billionaire debt profile that Delta State is currently immersed in? Not talking about let alone the 300 billionaire you inherited in your assumption of office.
No, I don't know what about 150 billion profile that you're talking about, but the truth is that yes, about 300 billion estimated debt profile that has come in. And that is because of the restructuring process. Because when we came in, we met a situation where we were exposed to the level of about close to 100 billion. But if you allow that situation to be, you'll find a situation where you are actually going to choke the state. The state will be virtually choked because the money you need to service the debts was about 5.2 billion monthly, and that is not something the state can carry with an allocation that comes in about 8 billion, sometimes 7 billion, sometimes 6 billion. And there was no way we could carry that. So working with the federal government, just like many other states, the monies, that is the loans, had to be restructured over a long term. And when you're restructuring over a long term, what now happens is that you're going to pay interest rate over those long terms. But eventually, the amount of money you're paying a month is such that the state can still run even when you pay such monies. That's why you now find that you have an extended kind of loan, that is debt burden that is stretching up to 300. It's because of the restructuring process.
Nigerians are surprised that even Delta State could be involved in the Paris loan refund.
Paris loan refund, it's not a dash, it's a refund. Refund means there was excess deduction.
So how much, could you, for the purpose of this interview, could you tell us how it was spent?
14.5 billion was the money that was refunded. Out of that amount of money, a little, I can't remember the exact amount, a little over 3 billion went to the local government councils because that was their share. It was used to pay salaries. Out of the other amount left, about 50% of it was spent to offset the salaries that we owed, because at some point in time, 2016, a lot of money, the money that was coming into the state was such that it was not even enough to carry our salaries, because there were 2 months that we even got 3 billion. And then the balance 50% was spent on mainly projects on road to pay road contractors. That's why you find that a lot of road projects are going on. And a little part of that money has been spent on payments of contractors that are working on some of our schools and hospitals.
I think the issue of security will be a recurring decimal in this conversation now. You've vehemently kicked against the issue of grazing reserve in Delta State. So what options are you considering?
I think truly that Nigerians must come out to tell the truth. The federal government needs to come out with a policy of where they want us to go. Can we continue to remain in the dark ages where people can just walk in, go along the routes, walk into farms and get their cattle to graze on people's farms? It's obviously not the right thing to go. The Minister for Agriculture rightfully said that the way out is to actually have grazing reserves. And when you're going to have grazing reserves, you must put them close enough to where the cattle is going to be, because you need to actually grow the appropriate grasses that can take care of them. We are looking forward to the federal government, who spoke about this, being able to establish some of those ones in the north. So I don't see people begin to just move out their cattle in large numbers, and they are not able to distinguish between a farm and a grassland. And that is the real problem we're having in here, because they step into those places with some level of impunity in some cases, because some of them are armed.
Before we wind down this conversation now, could you look into the camera and tell the people of Delta State what to expect from your administration of the state?
We'll continue to stay in partnership with all Deltans. It's a promise that we have made, and we thank you for your patience and hope that you continue to be with us on the same page, so that together we can develop Delta State.
Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, thank you so much for making our time to be part of this episode of Question Time. Thank you very much indeed.
Being with us. Thank you so much.
And that's it on this episode of Question Time. What's your take on the Governor Okowa Smart Agenda reform? You can send us a comment on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Join us next week on another exciting episode of the show on Channels Television. Many thanks for watching. I'm Benga Ashiru. Bye for now.